We come to nature because it feels peaceful, right? But if you look closely, nature is messy. There is mud, there is rot, there is chaos under the fallen leaves, and yet it's perfect. Spirituality is exactly the same. We think it's about sitting in orange robe or our yoga outfits, meditating and being perfectly peaceful. But real spirituality is kind of messy. And if you are messy right now, you're actually on the right path. Ideally, we want to do the work once and be done, right? We have this fantasy that once we get enlightened, once we reach a permanent state of peace, we'll never feel messy again. But in reality, the spiritual journey is not a straight path, it's not a straight line. I'll give you an example. I had my first spiritual awakening 10 years ago in December 2015. I remember it clearly. I was in a dark night of the soul. I was in this deep depression. And then suddenly it got lifted. I found this peace between my ego and my spirit, and I could see the craziness of my mind, but I wasn't in it. It was rather profound and deep. Now, fast forward 10 years, you would think after a decade of spiritual work, I would be completely zen by now. I should be flourishing in a state of constant peace. But just last month, on my 10th anniversary, December 2025, I had a massive spiritual purge. Emotions I thought I had dealt with years ago came rushing back to the surface. It was chaotic, it was heavy, and honestly, I felt like I have returned back to my original state. It felt like I was back at square one. But here's what I realized. The universe will continue to strip you away, layer by layer, until you reach your true core essence. You are like an onion. You peel one layer, you cry a little, you think you are done, and then the universe says, okay, ready for the next layer. So does that mean that I haven't grown? Of course not, because even though the surface looks messy, the internal relationship to the mess has completely changed. 10 years ago, the mess consumed me. I was depressed. Today, I am the container holding the mess. I observe the mess. I am less reactive. I'm less afraid of the feelings. I can feel the chaos, see my ego breaking down. But underneath it, I can still feel that center of peace. And that's what real growth is, right? Growth isn't measured by how calm your life looks on the outside. It's measured by how centered you can remain while the storm rages on the inside. But why do we want to fight the mess so hard? One is because our ego was want to avoid pain, but it's also usually because when we start this journey, we don't really know who we are yet. So we do what most humans do, we copy. It's like when I wrote my first book or started this YouTube channel, I didn't know how to start. I just looked at what everyone else was doing. Oh, they have a preface and testimonial at the beginning of the book, so I should do that too. Or they do their thumbnails in such a manner and have the titles in such a manner, then I should follow them. We use these established structures and systems as training wheels while we are learning. The same thing happens in spirituality. We see a teacher who meditates for an hour and speak in this perfectly hush, calm voice. And we think that that's what we should do. That's the words I need to use. If I want to be spiritual, I have to sound like that. I mean, it's okay if you are just starting out on your spiritual journey, but there's a trap there. If you stay in that phase too long, the copying and imitating phase, you aren't actually being spiritual. You're just acting spiritual. You aren't being your true, authentic spiritual self. You're just building a spiritual ego. You're trading your old identity for a new polished one that never gets angry, never gets loud, and never gets messy. It's like just purely Zen. I realized I cannot be that perfectly calm spiritual teacher because that's not me. Like, I like to, be a little bit animated when I speak. I like to giggle. Sometimes I just want to go like I just want to be kind of like myself, like be spontaneous. That is my natural, authentic expression. That's how I speak to my family and my friends. And it doesn't mean that I'm not peaceful at my core. It doesn't mean that I don't have my calm and reflective moments. Every single one of us has a core that is peace, love, and joy. That's constant. But the way we express them is individual and unique to us. Real spirituality isn't about fitting into a mold. It's about expressing your unique soul frequency. Oneness doesn't mean homogeneous, right? It means that all beings are interconnected, but our essence, our color kind of varies a little. Think about light. When light hits a prism, it doesn't stay white, it breaks into a rainbow. The color red is just as much light as the color blue. This is the same with us. The divine didn't bring you here to become a second-rated version of somebody else. It brought you here to be the most honest version of yourself. For me, that means wearing, cute graphic t-shirts and shorts or jeans, being my, joyful self. And for you, it might be something else. If I try to suppress that to look more spiritual, I'll actually be moving away from the source. I'll be choosing to live a lie over the truth. The beauty of this world is in its variety. Just look at the forest. Like, is it beautiful because it's neat or organized? It's beautiful because it's a chaotic mix of like thorns, flowers, like rotting woods and leaves, birds, squirrels everywhere. Like, they are all expressing the same source in different ways. When you dive deep into your own essence, you eventually reach a point where you can't help but express it. In the beginning, I also play it safe. I was just recording talking heads videos in my room, picking topics based on keywords and what people were searching for. But I kept feeling this pull, this soul calling to get outside into nature and be more spontaneous. My soul wanted me to use a whiteboard to visually map out my insights because that's what I'm good at doing. Initially, I resisted it. I was scared of people looking at me outside. I was afraid that I might be too self-conscious, that I can't speak. And there are a lot of extra work for the whiteboard video, so I felt a bit overwhelmed or I don't know whether I can do it. But the soul keep knocking and knocking at my door. It wants to express itself in new ways, and eventually I'll have to listen. And so here I am, out in the nature. Eventually, you will hit a point where you realize that, hey, being authentic is way more important than looking spiritual. It's much better to admit that you're struggling right now than to pretend to be peaceful. Even now, I still get caught in my ego's drama from time to time. I still dip in terms of vibration, and that's okay. Sometimes I just don't feel like meditating. I just want to watch some, comedy and have a good laugh, or just play some mobile games. Like just have some fun, and I'll just allow myself to do it. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Real spirituality isn't that serious at all. It isn't about playing a role to show people how spiritual you are. It's about having the self-honesty and humility to see exactly where you are right now. And at the same time, recognizing that there's a gap between your egoic self and your spiritual self. You are not always in tune or connected with your spiritual self all the time. Sometimes you listen more to the egoic self, and that's okay. At least you are aware of this gap. Real spirituality is about having this courage to be your messy self and knowing that the peace is still there underneath it all. So if your life feels like a mess right now, don't judge it. Don't try to polish it so that it looks holy for other people. Whatever frequency you are at, even if it's a low one, that is your current truth. And that messy truth is actually spiritual. The messy self or the messy situation you're in is actually contrast. You cannot know what center feels like if you never experience the chaos. When I say no, I mean no. You know, the spiritual knowing, not merely just a mental understanding. You want to deeply and intuitively know in your body what spiritual is, what your spiritual self is. The mess isn't a mistake, it's just a mirror reflecting to you where you are right now. It's the catalyst that forces you to wake up. Think about what brought you to spirituality in the first place. It probably wasn't a sunny day where everything was perfect. For some, it was illness. For others, heartbreak or addiction. For me, it was shame. It was overthinking. It was feeling neglected and lonely as a child. These events weren't punishment. They were gateways to higher dimension. Pressure, struggle, loss, grief. These are all catalysts. They are like the cracks where the lights can get in. Without the shadow, you will never seek the light. So we don't need to bypass the shadow or pretend that they aren't there. If a layer is coming up to be peeled off, it just means that you are finally ready to handle it and let it go. And you don't need to be hunting for these shadows. You don't need to go looking for trouble. When you set the intention to connect with your true essence, those obstacles will find you. The mess will show up at your door. In the beginning, yes, you will listen to your teachers, you'll follow the gurus, the tarot readers, the meditation guides and teachers, and that's fine. They are showing you the map, but ultimately, you are your own guru. You don't have to just copy them and be exactly like them and just believe everything that they say. You want to use your own discernment. As you develop spiritual maturity, you stop asking everyone else what to do. You start looking for someone or a savior to fix your mess. You realize your discernment, your intuition, and your messy, unique journey is the only truth that matters. So I guess what I want to say here is be your messy, unique self, embrace the chaos, because that mess that we're trying to avoid, that is exactly where the magic is. And that's all I have for you today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!